Welcome to the show. If you're a Def Leppard fan, you know that drummer Rick Allen is nothing short of incredible. After losing his arm in a car accident in the mid 1980s, Rick defied the odds by developing a unique technique to play the drums using his feet and one arm. Despite everything he went through, he didn't miss a beat, literally, and has continued to rock as a core member of Def Leppard for decades. Okay, sorry, I couldn't resist the pun. A while back, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Rick and his wife, Lauren Monroe, who's not only a talented singer-songwriter in her own right, but who is an amazing energy healer. I'm excited to share this amazing conversation where we dive into the music and also the healing energy techniques that Rick and Lauren use to uplift themselves, promote good mental health personally and in the music community. By the way, I'm Dr. Jen Palladino, a chiropractor who specializes in the treatment of musician and performing arts injury. Music and the creative arts can change the world, and I'm interested in exploring the passion that the music and art evokes in people, whether it's playing or listening or creating or observing. It's that powerful driving force within the human soul that sparks emotion, unites the masses, bridges language and cultural barriers, and heals the body, mind, and spirit. Please be so kind as to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification so you never miss an update. Your support helps me to keep bringing you the content that you love. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Def Leppard drummer Rick Allen and musician Lauren Monroe.
Welcome to Rockin' Healthy Lifestyles, a podcast featuring conversation with popular musicians and performing artists, sharing their stories of life's trials and triumphs, career ups and downs, and what stirs their creative juices. Also join us and learn how our guests keep fit and fabulous while rocking a healthy body, mind, and spirit. And now, introducing your host, Dr. Jennifer Palladino.
I'd like to welcome to the show singer, songwriter, and energetic medicine healer Lauren Monroe and her husband, legendary drummer and rock and roll Hall of Famer for some band name Def Leppard, Rick Allen. Thank you guys so much for being here on Rockin' Healthy Lifestyles.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I'd just like to start out by saying that I attended Lauren and Rick's show here in Los Angeles the other night, and it was beautiful and amazing. And Lauren, your voice is so lovely and sultry, and your songs are so melodic and thought-provoking. And the band sounded super tight and really right on. So it was a really enjoyable evening, and I wanted to thank you for that right up front.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you can make it.
So I wondered if we could start by, Lauren, if you would, talking a bit about your background. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Queens, New York, with a very Italian Catholic family, and made my way across the country as I got older, and found my home here in California.
Were you musically inclined as at a young age?
I did. I was. I got a guitar when I was 6 and started writing my first songs then. As soon as I learned my first 3 chords, and it was always a way I could express myself, and I was inspired very easily. So I had a love for songwriting since I was little.
Was it Grandpa Nick that showed you your first guitar
Yeah.
chords?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather showed me my first few chords, and he was a guitar player. My dad's a singer. We always had a lot of music in the house, so naturally I'm, drawn to it.
Right. You know, you hear about a lot of musicians. I think Keith Richards' grandfather was super influential in his and playing guitar, and he would hold back the guitar from him and if he was a good boy, then he would give it to him to encourage him to want it.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So, did you, write a lot as a child? I read somewhere that you really like to write. Was that something that you gravitated toward?
Yeah, songs, poetry, short prose. I was a writer. I still am. I still write for various articles and songs, and for my teaching curriculum. I love writing. I'm inspired by life.
Are you writing children's books? Was that what I
I
what I
have
heard?
some children's stories that I did. It's always been in the back of my mind doing it because I would tell stories to both my girls, when they were little, and we would record them, and we always said, "Oh, I have to do something with it." So, the Brooklyn Library was having this thing during COVID, where they were inviting people to tell stories, read from a book, and on a recording, people could call into the library and listen to a story being told to them. So I created one of my own, a couple of my own, and submitted it, and so it was there. And so I started just doing them and on audio. And so I have them. I haven't released them yet, but I have a few of them. They're all magical, fantastical stories teaching about mindfulness and hope, and teaching children how to harness their own intuition, which I think is a real positive thing.
And very important, and it's funny because Julian Lennon, he a wonderful musician as well, has his children's books to encourage children to respect the environment. So, it must be part of the musician creative complex that you embody.
So
So
interesting that you mentioned his name because he almost came to the Venice show.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
he was in the area at the time, and I posted on Instagram, and he saw it too late, but he said he was in the area and he was gonna come and see the show.
well, I can certainly say, Julian, you missed a great show.
Oh.
So, when did you first find your voice as a singer-songwriter, Lauren?
When I was little, same, my first song, I was 6. I had no inhibitions at all. I used to stand on the picnic table on Sundays and the neighbors would come and my family I had a big Italian family. So I'd stand up there and belt out my songs and sing Jimmy Osmond and, well, Donny Osmond and the whole, yeah. So that was always a part of me doing that. And I never really stopped. I put it to the side to explore other things like dance and choreography for a long time, but came back around to my songwriting and singing in my early 20s. Yeah.
Do you remember the bottom line?
Yeah, I do.
Uh, I could see you playing there. That was such a fabulous place.
I was there
Such a
once.
wonderful place. Great stuff. I think it closed, unfortunately. What artists or genre of music did you listen to growing up, and what inspired you?
Well, a lot of 1970s rock and roll inspired me. The classic people, Bonnie Raitt and Jackson Brown. Tom Petty was my biggest inspiration.
Linda Ronstadt
And Linda
also.
Ronstadt, yeah, her voice is just, I she is just amazing. And so I have that whole era woven through my soul. Um, when I heard Melissa Etheridge's voice, I was like, "Who is that? She sounds so familiar." And then when I started singing, I realized she sounds like me, or I sound like her. There was an essence of that. So of course, Janis Joplin always inspired me as well. A lot of what I do is steeped from my past and what's in my DNA from being small and listening to all these amazing legendary people. Yeah.
Yes, lucky enough that we all shared in that. I think just being our age group, we really got to fully enjoy that whole coming up of the quote unquote classic rock era. And I don't know many people that could say it, but I saw Led Zeppelin 5 times.
Wow.
So yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So well, we were right near Madison Square Garden. We were trained right away, and everybody was playing there. I remember the summer of '77. It was like Fleetwood Mac and The Who, and I mean, we got to see everybody. Am I dating myself, you guys?
No, that's fantastic. You're very fortunate.
Thank you. So, Lauren, you are a healing arts educator, and you use complementary and alternative medicine in working with people like veterans who suffer from PSD, those who are recovering from trauma, and you also focus on suicide prevention. How how did you become interested in complementary and alternative medicine?
Well, when I was small, my parents, at the same time as I got my guitar, I was 5, 6 years old, they started teaching me how to meditate because they were very,
Progressive, right?
progressive in that time. They're very Italian, but they also, and spiritual, but they also was studying TM and had a lot of inroads into health. And so they started me when I was really young, and I just gravitated towards it. I really had a knack for it. And I also had experiences as a child and still do now as I was a prophetic dreamer and a medium. So I would
Oh my
really
goodness.
have this ability to journey and to see what was going on the other side. I struggled with that for a really long time because after I found out that everybody wasn't like this, it was really difficult for me to express myself and have people take me seriously or invest in me. So I shut that down really early on as much as I could. But then as I got older, I started exploring like, what is this, and how can I define it outside of religion? Because in a lot of religion, God, you can talk to God, but when God talks back, then something's a little weird, right? So God was talking back a lot to me, and I needed to figure out how to explain it. So early on, early high school, I started exploring the paranormal. That was my first stop. And then I learned more about thanatology, which is a study of dying, and then found energy medicine. Carolyn Mace was my first teacher. And I aligned myself with her words so much, I really understood. And she coined the term energy medicine. And so I was a healer starting at age 8. I started to experience the healing from my hands, and I just needed to define what it was I was. So that led me to the path because in Queens you talk about this stuff, and then people say, "Well, you're like a hippie, or you're," and I wasn't. So I found language in science, neuroscience, and parapsychology, and now the science of consciousness is just exploding. And so there's so much to support what it is I am and what I do, which is very exciting for me.
That's amazing. I had a similar experience because 'cause I've been a chiropractor for 33 years, and I'm from a chiropractic family, so it was almost innate within yourself where you have to explore it, but no, I can relate. So do you find that you're an empathic healer? So you can really, because I was just talking about this the other day, feel someone's energy, know when they're physically toxic, and it's almost like a sense. It's a clear sense. I think because of the work that I do, hands-on and being around it all the time, that, you fine-tune it. The more you do it, the more it becomes fine-tuned and you're open to it. That's amazing. Um So, what made you gravitate toward working with people in crisis? Was there someone in your family or a loved one who was experiencing a crisis that you felt compelled to help?
Well, first we lost my cousin. He was in military, and we lost him, and that really created such a ripple effect in my family that I saw that wound. And that drew me to the veterans immediately when, Rick took his first tour at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. But then in regards to just helping people in crisis, suicide is something that I had to deal with in my past, with people. I lost a lot of people, and being a medium. I was always privileged to be able to experience them after they left the body, and I felt like I could help other people, survivors of suicide, and also to help prevent people from going down that rabbit hole. Um, so I was very passionate about it, and because of my life experience in losing people.
It's so unfortunate. It's so rampant, and even I've been doing work, with Native American, community, and as young as 8 I think you mentioned this the other night when you were performing. There's such young ages, and they're facing this, and people are young people are dealing with this. It's a definite unfortunate turn, and if we can open our hearts and reach out, and I loved what you said on stage, what you shared with the audience about reaching out to people who were hurting, and just a kind word, just a, "Hey, how are you doing?" is so important, so important.
Yeah.
But, it's beautiful, the work you do. Hi, Rick.
Hey,
Welcome. So, you've been a busy person. Def Leppard just wrapped up the tour for 2020, but you still have, like, a ton of dates slated for 2023 from what I understand. And you and Lauren are touring and have shows lined up for a couple of months before the end of this year. You must be exhausted running all over the earth, drumming.
I was for a little while, but I'm pretty much recovered now. The only thing is when I'm out with Lauren, I'm the van driver, I'm the roadie, and I play drums. What else?
We're not the
I am the roadie. I enjoy that. That's how I started out. Very humble beginnings.
we're our own roadies right now at
We're all
this level,
roadies.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's understandable, and I think it's inspiring too. It might sound like dirty work, but I could see it being very inspiring because
It is. It's actually really cool. When you see how hard the people in this industry, particularly crew professionals, how hard they work, you have a whole new appreciation. I mean, some of these guys, they're in first thing and they're the last ones to leave.
During the pandemic, we were made aware of a number of suicides in the backstage professional community. So we put together the Big Love benefit concert and did a streaming event to help support them, and it benefited Sweet Relief, and went to mental health services for backstage crews. We heard about 12 different suicides in our circles of people of crew, and so that, I think people don't really understand the magnitude of what they do in a show. They come to a show and they see, the amazing lights and the stage, and everything there is because the crew set it up. And they're, like Rick said, they're there first thing in the morning and the last people to leave, and they're just amazing humans.
right? Yeah, it doesn't get there by magic.
No.
Right.
It is magic, but it doesn't get there like that. Rick, would you be so kind as to talk about the injury that you sustained for those listeners who may not know?
Okay. Um, it happened the last day of 1984, and I had a terrible car accident. I was actually driving outside of my hometown and trying to a left-hand drive car in England, which isn't the best choice. And anyway, long story short, I lost control of this car going around this particular corner, and as I rolled the car, I let through the sunroof just as the seatbelt came undone. It's actually the seatbelt that took my arm. Um, and I landed in a field a couple of 100 yards away from the crash site. And by the time the ambulance got to me, you know, uh, I was holding on. But the thing that really saved me, I think, was the fact that my body just tensed and I didn't lose consciousness. I didn't lose consciousness until they put me under anesthetic once I got to the hospital. And that's when it got a bit serious. So, yeah, I'm here and I'm a fighter.
Yeah, I mean, yes, quite an experience. And so how did such a life-changing injury affect not only your body, but your mind and your spirit?
Well, the fantastic thing about the whole medical system over in England is, it's socialized medicine. So I was able to get the care I needed, but only for my physical. They didn't at that particular time. It may have changed now. They didn't really look at the possibility of any kind of mental sort of wounds, which was very unfortunate because it was inevitable that I had to find out what was going on with me after the fact.
Well, you had so much to lose with the loss of your arm, especially being a drummer. How did you deal with the "why me" part of the injury?
Um, it was relatively short-lived. Feeling sorry for myself and not wanting to show my face and just being really self-conscious was very short-lived. Um, and I think part of that was some of the profound experiences that I was going through at the time um, kind of led me to really find my inner strength and the amount of support that I was getting from my family and from fans all across the world and the circle around me. Um, I think that really helped pick me up and allow me to see a purpose. Particularly a guy called Mutt Lang, who was our producer for many years. He came to visit me and really gave me the encouragement that I needed to move forward.
So a very dear friend.
Yeah,
What is it about the power of the drum that continually heals you?
that's a really good question, and I think that's a very uh, that it is ancient. I mean, drumming is ancient form of drumming. I think drumming came before language, um, but I think drumming became ritual, and our ancestors used the drum to. I think you say it best. To grieve or to celebrate, to pray. I mean, there's
So yeah,
all these different ways that the drum is used to create sacred spaces. And I just think that has it's just gone side by side with humanity as we sort of evolve. And I think that's one of the reasons. It's the same reason why prayer is so powerful. It's because it's this thing that's been there for so long.
I think so much of the core of human beings are rhythmic, contractions when we're giving birth, inhalation, exhalation. There's a lot of different rhythms in our existence, and you really tapped into one. Good one.
No,
the
it's
first sound that we ever heard was our mother's heartbeat. And that's that constant. So we have, even animals, when you get new puppies when they're little, put a little, they say to put a time clock in there, a ticking clock, and they're soothed because it sounds like the heartbeat of their mother. So we have that innately in us that we resonate with that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's interesting because knowing that we can always go to that to soothe. And there's to whatever capacity, we can always go in that direction to soothe. Rick, how does it make you feel knowing that in spite of your own personal loss, what you've overcome is what continues to inspire people so profoundly?
Hmm. Um, I mean, it is a gift, and I always tell people I am a work in progress. So I've made huge strides in the right direction, but that doesn't mean to say that I've got it all figured out. I have to continually come back to myself, or if I need help, I need to reach out, and sometimes it's difficult for me to do that. You always want to think like, I've got this and I can do it all myself. But in reality, I can't. So it is good for me to have Lauren. It's good for me to have other people that I can lean on, or talk to, or ask for help.
I think that's true for everyone. I don't think anyone is exempt in an island. I don't think that we were crafted as beings to be to be that lone soul being.
Like,
Um, so speaking of being together, how did you guys meet?
we met, you would appreciate this. I was a teacher at the Boulder College of Massage Therapy in Colorado, and I had a friend who knew Rick, and he was coming through town, and I was going through a lot of different injuries that he needed to work through. And my friend said, he's never had any spiritual work. He's never had any massage therapy work. I really trust him with you. I think you should work with him. So Rick and I met through him being a client, and we remained in touch. And he would call me from the road. I would help him with visualizations and how to work through pain. And we just got to be really good friends. And then everything kind of moved from there. But it came from a healing relationship. And then, he discovered that I was a musician too. We started drumming together, and then we started to really think about putting together a not-for-profit that helped people.
Yeah, it was a great combination. We both experienced a fair amount of trauma, but I think Laura's background in massage or energy work, I think really, um, it was a great opportunity for me because she was able to give me, or help me with, the language surrounding some of the really profound experiences that I went through, having been through that kind of trauma. So I think it was just a great match, and a really good team. We could kind of convey things in a way that was very comprehensive.
So, Lauren, in working with Rick's PTSD and his condition, what was your approach in addressing those emotional wounds? Was there a particular healing modality like Reiki or myofascial trigger point therapy that you found to be most effective?
Well, we explored a number of things because, like everyone else, there's no one formula that fits one person. Like, everyone resonates differently. So I introduced him to a lot of things. The first thing I automatically did was the energy medicine work, which is a lot of the things you mentioned. Similarly, healing touch, Reiki, acupuncture, acupressure points. We did sound healing, and then moved into working with horses, which was very profound. The equine therapy is really beautiful, and then neurofeedback and, diet was a big thing too, although Rick was, he was vegan when I met him, but vegetarian when I met him. I was too, and so that really helps too, when you have a more healthier diet, it helps reduce the trigger and the anger spikes and things like that that come with PTSD. You're not full of caffeine and sugar and things that, elevate you like that. So it was very comprehensive, and we explored a lot of things. We went to India, we went to Thailand, we studied with masters and saints and indigenous people in New Zealand, and we did a lot. And there is a lot of healing out there, and different modalities of it and cultures that offer it that is worth exploring for sure.
So exciting. Wow. That is beautiful that you could share something so deep and so healing. And Rick, in working with Lauren and all the complementary and alternative medicine, what techniques or modalities gave you those breakthrough moments? Was it deep tissue work or breath work or meditation or
Believe it or not, the distance healing, what do you call it? You know, when you're around a table, and you're not necessarily laying your hands on something.
It's energy work. I
Yeah.
just umbrella. There's a lot of different names for it, different styles, pranic healing, Reiki, healing touch, therapeutic touch.
Yeah.
But it's all basically the same thing. We work with the fields of the body, the electromagnetic field and the subtler energies to access doorways into emotion. And
Yeah.
powerful work.
It
It
is.
is, yeah.
No, I remember that the time you brought me into Boulder College and you had me on the table and I was kind of, so you use me and then you work with all
Dude,
your
I
students.
had that room in the deep end on that, but it was very, very powerful for the students I was teaching to experience him on the table, experience the phantom limb, because when you lose a limb, there's still an energy imprint, and where he could feel it when all the practitioners were around him, and it was very emotional for him and everybody in the room. They all just they felt it, and it's the best learning experiences. I feel are the ones where you actually engage and you experience firsthand. So when I met him, I brought him in as a guest right away, and he learned, and the students learned, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful time.
Yeah, and I think, equine assisted therapy. I think, the whole idea of not necessarily riding horses, but, appreciating the animal as, almost like a mirror. They're so
Yeah,
heart-based, you know,
like
ev
biofeedback machines.
yeah,
They really mirror back to you everything that's going inside. So in our work, we're able to go. We worked with rescued mustangs, wild horses, and other organizations that focus on that. And then we brought the veterans in to do that too, and that was really powerful to see them. Yeah,
all this healing, um, energetic healing, it really is intention.
mm,
It really is intention. When you open your heart and you are more empathetic as opposed to sympathetic, that empathy, I think, really allows for you to be able to give, for someone to be able to receive. And as far as animals go, they're so intuitive. They know who we are. We can't hide who we truly are from any animal, really. And so it makes pure sense that your work across the board in different ways as you speak of is just really super profound and very healing. This question is for both of you. How does your music heal you?
well, for me, whenever I sing a song that I've written, I go back to the moment where I wrote it. And in that moment, I feel like there's this divine conversation that's happening where I'm not really writing it. It's coming through me already written. And there's an energy with that that's extremely healing where the self of me is not there, and it's just oneness with this divine spirit people call God or energy or higher power. And whenever I repeat a song, whether it's in rehearsal or it's on stage, I that's the energy that comes with it. They're paired. So for me, it's that, and it's my goal through the production and of live performance and recording is to get that essence of that energy so that people can feel it when they hear it and get that hit of this divine presence.
I think for me, and I think the rest of the band, I think just, that pride, uh, reading the song the way that Lauren did in terms of, the interpretation. How do you punctuate? this song? How do you bring out the broke? How do you bring out all the really nice stuff in the song that really moves people? And as musicians, we feel as though if we get that part of it right, then it's this concerted effort. It's from Lauren writing the song to the interpretation and how you present that to an
And
audience.
how's that him?
It's just this sense of well-being because I'm representing this song in the best possible way that I can. Mhm.
You know what, you guys? I get the feeling that you were really called to this life to do what you do through music, and you also found each other because there's strength in numbers, and there's so many people who need the care that goes into the music that you put forth. The lyrics, the playing, the reaching out in all different areas, and I think it's really magnificent what you do. So, I'd like to talk about the Raven Drum Foundation, which is your nonprofit organization that you both founded together. Who does this foundation support, and what was your vision in forming this foundation?
Well, currently we support anyone in crisis, but specifically veterans, resiliency, and suicide prevention. Um, uh, we've worked with so many different populations of people across the board because this work can affect everyone. It's not just one certain section of the population. Um, we started because when we got together and started drumming and doing this energy work, and we realized we had something special to offer other people. And we did it once with some children that were freshly out of Afghanistan, and one of them had a missing arm. And they came to a concert, one of Rick's concerts, and we brought him on the bus and drummed with them. And I showed them some breath work, and we did some art, and we looked at each other and we're like, we need to do this more. This felt important. And we continued doing that. We worked with special needs kids first in the LA school system. We've also worked with juvenile kids in juvenile detention, a lot of them gang kids in LA, and also with teenagers that are going through cancer care uh, and adults. We work with safe houses with women and children, sex trafficking safe houses, and veterans, to name some. And you know, everyone that has been involved really connected this on a very deep level. So we're all connected through music and intention. So, these tools are so important to share because we're all locked up in this very lonely position when we feel like we're in crisis, and it's not the case. So, being together and going through things is important. That's what we want to bring. And Rick brings his story and his experience of his own trauma, as I do as well, when we meet people, and then we give them the experience of the drum and of mindfulness. It just sends them in a direction that they can build on.
And what would you say are the benefits of drumming in this particular therapeutic setting?
And what we do
Yeah.
specifically,
Yes.
you work and talking around.
No, you are
Right.
talking a lot, but she uses fantastic language, very clear language to describe what it is. I mean, yes, part of it is the drumming, the actual physical act of drumming. Like you were saying about opening up both hemispheres of the brain, and that in itself, there's more communication around the brain, different neural pathways. Um, but I think the ritualistic approach to the drum circle, or when you do a live performance, there's always an element where we all get together and set the intention. And I think once we set the intention, then I think it becomes a bigger healing tool.
We bring in elements. I think what this is very unique to what we do is that we teach grounding, we teach mindfulness, we teach empathy and intention, and we use the drums and the rhythms in a way where we're going into high frequency sound and then silence. And in that time, the brain has to integrate, and people usually want to talk during the silence or like think and move around. And that's the time it's like we want people to be still and quiet to feel what just happened and where their mind goes. Because the basic thing that we want for people to get out of this, very basic, is that they can control their mind. And you have to be in the present moment to do that. The drum is just a vehicle, really, to get them to be able to be more in their heart. Uh, but it's all practice. It's like using a muscle and teaching people how to do this. And you don't need a drum to do that. You need to use these techniques in a grocery line, or in traffic. But the drum is a very wonderful place to start teaching.
I think a lot of people also need something tangible where they can feel that connectiveness with each other so they're not doing it alone and not the spotlight, but there's that whole group and you're cheering them on.
Yeah, it's safe.
And what you were saying about that negative space, because I'm a sound healer and I integrate that with my chiropractic. But I noticed, and I'm very particular about those quiet moments because technically that's like a note. And what happens there is as important as what happens with a tone or a beat.
Mhm.
It's almost like, and I think of it in these terms, I laugh at myself because there I go, dating myself again. The Beatles song, um, um, the last song on the Sergeant Pepper album, A Day in the
Yeah.
Life, at the very end, they have that one note. And it's so important to listen to the whole song because that takes you to a place that you wouldn't go to otherwise. And when they play it on the radio and one of the DJs just jumps in before that note is over, I get so
Yeah,
mad.
I know. It's not quite finished. Um,
There's in Sanskrit, they talk about the heart chakra, and this is called the anhat, which is the unstruck sound. And it's an interesting concept. We don't have that in English. The unstruck sound is the sound of the divine inside of us, the sound of the soul, the sound that is unstruck. So you don't, it exists. There's nothing like our voice has a strike, our voice box. Any sound that we make in this plane of energy, this reality needs a strike. But in the spiritual realm, the unstruck sound is the sound of us. And so when we give people an experience of hearing that silence, it experience ourselves in a different way. I love that. I think it's so beautiful.
that's really beautiful. I think what it is we're so used to distractions that um, a lot of us, you hear silence and you immediately feel like you need to fill
Feel
the
safe.
silence,
Yeah,
fill
you
that
feel it's
silence,
awkward. No,
or
I'm
pick
putting
your
it.
phone up or do
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
and it kind of takes people out of their routine or their element a little bit when you ask them to stay in that silence.
And doing it at a club is very interesting too. When I'm on stage and I do that, and I just don't say anything, stand there, and I watch people. I hold the space and just give people that awkwardness for a minute, uh, to help guide and move the energy in that way. But you're so right that we all want to fill the space, and that means that we're not in the moment.
There is a lot to be said about what we do in silence. And I'm finding more and more, I don't know if it's a generational thing, but I mean, I didn't grow up with cell phones. So I don't really like need my cell phone. I could just sit and think. And I see a lot of people who can't. And maybe they could relieve some of that tension if they just put it all away. I think they should incorporate that in our schools. Moments of
Mindfulness. Oh,
absolutely,
absolute. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, they took music out of the school programs. They need to put that back along with mindfulness. Very important. Very important. Can you guys talk about Project Resiliency's Warrior Resiliency Program?
That's a program specifically for our veterans recovering from PTSD and traumatic brain injury. And basically, we're not running this program ourselves that much anymore the way we used to. We used to have retreats, 5-day retreats, which was amazing. But with our schedule right now, we had to, put that on the table for a while. But basically, it's programs that are designed around complementary medicine to help heal our veterans and educate them around modalities that will help serve them besides talk therapy and medication. And we find a lot of our warriors want to get off meds and learn other ways. And so sometimes in addition to a medication, this would be good. And there's lots of various, combinations that they can choose from, but they don't know the other modalities that are out there. So it's introductions like that we do through the Veteran Resiliency.
Can we please talk about your new album, Lauren, Messages from Aphrodite?
Sure.
Um, so each song a message, yes?
Each song a message in various forms. Some go very deep and some are more superficial, but they're all messages from Aphrodite. And I named it that way because I believe that these songs are etched out of messages from the higher feminine perspective. And I really think that the world needs some of that perspective right now because we've been steeped in a toxic patriarchal messaging that has contaminated a lot of our views of one another. And we need to bring the feminine perspective in so that we can be more compassionate and we can look at each other with more care and tolerance.
These songs are of love and intimacy and hope and attraction, trust and strength and change. So many beautiful, eye-opening, heartfelt, and your lyrics are magnificent. I actually went through, it was just a little thing I wanted to do. I went through each song and I allowed myself one word of summation for each song. And I- it it's intimacy and strength and hope, attraction, unity, calling all angels. What a beautiful ending to your your show the other night. It was lovely. So lovely. Thank you for that. It was just um it was a beautiful show. And this album is certainly magnificent.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah. I was gonna wear the shirt, but I thought it would it because sometimes it looks backwards,
Backwards. Yeah.
and I'm like, "Yeah," so I'm like, "I can't do that." But I do have one, by the way.
Good.
Yes, yes. So I'm sitting here talking with 2 incredibly creative and talented people. Would you both please talk about, Rick, your amazing collection of art, Angels and Icons, and Lauren, the Spirit collection?
Mm. Well, I think one of the pieces that I'm really proud of, probably most proud of, was Charlie Watts. And I think Charlie was such a big influence, big inspiration. I really feel like if it wasn't for Charlie Watts, there'd be, me and probably every single other drummer that I know that wouldn't even be doing this. So, what better way to pay homage to somebody that you really look at? So that was really special.
And Lauren?
Well, I started doing art when I was younger and I wanted to go to school for it, be an artist. And when I took classes, I just did not like it at all. I did not want to do what they told me to do. I couldn't, I would put holes in my paper and get all frustrated. And I said, this isn't fun. I don't want to do this. So So I really didn't go that direction. And then when Rick started painting and doing mixed media, and I jumped on board to collaborate with him and help him do some of that during the pandemic. We were home. All we were doing was music and art. And I just said, well, I have time now to paint. And I started doing some mixed media and painting and the gallery saw it and they picked it up and it's been exciting. Even our daughter is starting to paint now. She's sold like 4 paintings.
Yeah,
She's really talented. She's 11.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, the Spirit Collection is just all paintings that came out of my experience through lockdown and exploring just pieces of my heart. And one of them was Aphrodite. And so the whole album came from her, painting of her. Yeah.
Interesting. I wondered where Aphrodite. I understand why you would be so drawn, but there's a another connection.
Right.
Yes, I love your work and I have my favorites. So that Apples for Snow White, great stuff
Oh,
right
thank
there.
you. Oh, right. You saw that. That
I loved it. I love it, love it, love it. So where can people go to donate to Raven Drum Foundation?
ravendrumfoundation.org is where to go to donate. And throughout the tours that I'm doing, we are auctioning off different paintings of ours to help raise money for suicide prevention and benefits programs. So if you come to the show, there'll be a piece of art there you can see, some that you can buy, but then there's also going to be an auction for a bigger piece that will be provided on a Give Smart link through ravendrumfoundation.org. You can auction no matter where you are in the world and be a part of this wonderful community we're building.
That's great. And how can we find you guys on social media?
Or there's Lauren.
Well, first you can go to rickallen.com or lauramonroe.com, and because all of our social medias are there. We have newsletters too that go out every month just to kind of letting people know what we're doing. And you can go to our Instagram, to our Facebook, Instagram, Laura Monroe Live, Rick Allen Live. We have Twitter, we have Facebook. It's just not we're not too TikToky yet. I mean,
No, we never really got. I tried to, but I just I couldn't quite get into it. So I tend to gravitate
Instagram.
to
We
Instagram.
both do.
Ditto, ditto. And I will have your links and ways to find you guys on the Rockin' Healthy Lifestyle website as well.
Also, one last thing that I'd like to mention is what we just did recently with Raven Drum, and it's going to be a bigger thing that we'll be announcing. We had a wonderful experience last year. We created 12 Drummers Drumming. It was an initiative to raise funds for veterans, and we built a tribe of 12 drummers that they donated signed merchandise, legendary drummers that we auctioned and raised money. This year, we had a 12 drummers drum circle live with veterans, with donors, and we filmed it. And it's going to be made into a documentary that's going to be aired through veterans hospitals for the month of November, and then we are finding platforms for it in December and moving forward for the general public to view it. So, want to name some of the drummers that are involved?
Yeah, a longtime friend, Matt Sorum.
Guns N' Roses.
He's always been super supportive. I actually met some new friends, which was fantastic. Franklin Vanderbilt plays drums with um,
Lenny.
Lenny Kravitz. Denny Sewell, who I basically grew up listening to. He was the drummer with Paul McCartney and Wings. Um,
Todd
Todd
Sussman.
Sussman from Styx. He's just awesome. He's such a technician, such a great guy. And again, you know, we've toured with them, and he's always really supportive of what I do and just what I go through to get on stage, you know, and play drums with one arm. But all of these
Shannon
guys,
Larkin
Shannon
from
Larkin from
Godsmack,
Godsmack,
and Dwayne Trucks from White Panic, John Lum, Allman Betts Band, Matt Starr.
yeah, Matt
I
Starr
know we're
with
missing
Ace
some folks.
Frehley. Let's see,
Alan.
oh, wow. Oh, it's fantastic.
Alvin,
Alvin Taylor.
Alvin Taylor, who played.
I see. I mean, I can't think right now, but
Yeah,
geez,
I mean, we had an amazing group of people who we're going to continue doing these type of events to raise money, and just the legendary drumming that happens during this, and they're all like embracing the mindfulness and the work that we do within the circles, and it's helping them too. I think it's just a wonderful thing, to get the music community involved now, to helping other people as well as helping themselves. And so we look forward to doing this in New York and in Nashville as well, as here in California and possibly in Montana. And we're looking at other locations for next year.
And all that information will be on your social media?
Yes, be on our social media. There's always special things for people that are subscribed to our newsletter that we tell them first, and so that we give them something special for really being a part of our little tribe. But absolutely, we'll post everything and invite everyone.
Sounds great. Well, I just wanted to thank you both from the bottom of my heart, certainly for joining me here today on Rockin' Healthy Lifestyles, but most importantly, for all the years of life shaping music and your talents and your love so fully and openly given to your fans and to me as well, of course. Thank you guys so much, Lauren Monroe and Rick Allen.
thank you so much.
Wow, that was incredible. It's a reminder that you too can experience healing through the power of music. If you're interested, join my Facebook group, Music Hacks for Mental Health, where we share the positive impact of music. You can find the link in the show notes below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification so you never miss out. Big thanks to Matt Thompson for the music, and thank you all for listening to this episode of Rockin' Healthy Lifestyles.